Hello and welcome back once again to product placement. So a few videos back, I did the lemon blueberry crumble Pop-Tarts, and I mentioned in that video that I picked those up alongside some other products. However, I chose to switch the order on when I was actually going to record that one versus when I actually purchased them because the lemon blueberry crumble Pop-Tarts I actually saw around for a little bit before I finally bought them. However, I was waiting for them to go on sale, and when they finally went on sale, I saw them alongside two new flavors of Pop-Tarts, which is what we're going to be doing today. So this is going to be a slightly longer video because it's going to be a two-parter. Although I don't think I'm going to split these up because the two flavors are related, so I'm probably going to just do this as one long video. But today's products, again, from our friends over at Pop-Tarts, have a limited time tie-in to the Girl Scouts of America. And these are our two newest flavors of Pop-Tarts. These are Pop-Tart Girl Scout Cookies Frosted Thin Mints and Pop-Tarts Girl Scout Cookies Frosted Coconut Caramel. Or as you might know them by their proper Girl Scout cookie name, Caramel Delights, or what is now considered their less politically correct alternative name, Samoas. So that's what we're doing today. We have two flavors here, Thin Mints and Samoas, or Caramel Delights, whichever you want to call them. I personally don't see any politically incorrectness with the name Samoas. Some people might, but I personally don't. If there happens to be any actual Samoans watching, please let me know in the comments if you do find the name Samoas for a cookie offensive or not. Let's put it to rest once and for all by asking the people that it would actually offend, not somebody who looks like me. So we have Thin Mints, we have Samoas or Caramel Delights or Coconut Caramels is what they're being called here. So which one am I going to start with? Now, although as far as cookies go, I do prefer Thin Mints slightly more than Samoas. I do like Samoas as well, but Thin Mints have always been my favorite as far as Girl Scout cookies go. So ideally, I would try the one that I'm going to like first and the one I'm probably going to like less second. However, because Thin Mints are mint, that flavor is probably going to linger longer. So I want to try the Caramel Delights, Coconut Caramel, Samoas, whatever you want to call them first. Probably going to do hot and cold version of this first. Then we'll circle back and do the hot and cold of the Thin Mints. Because if I do cold on caramel and then cold on Thin Mints, then go and do hot caramel and then hot Thin Mints, I'm still going to have the mint flavor from the cold lingering on my palate while I'm trying to try the hot coconut caramel. We're probably going to do these first, both hot and cold, then circle back to do this hot and cold. So with that said, let's go ahead and set our Thin Mints aside for a moment. And we are going to focus on the frosted coconut caramels. Let's go ahead and pop these open and we're going to pull one out. We're just going to set this here so we know which one we're doing. And let's go ahead and open up our little foil wrapper here and we will get out one of our Caramel Delights. Looks like the normal standard Pop-Tarts crust has the light tannish colored frosting similar to what you would see on the, I believe it's the cinnamon Pop-Tarts that have the light brown frosting. Well, you also have this dark brown caramel swirl. So let's go ahead and give it a smell test and see if it smells like a Caramel Delight. Here we go. Not really. Honestly, I'm mostly getting the smell of like a slightly overcooked, not quite burnt, but getting close shortbread cookie, which is what's actually inside of most of the Girl Scout cookies is a shortbread cookie and then has whatever toppings on top of it. So it sort of smells like a shortbread cookie, but very close to they almost burned it. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a bite and see what we think of the cold version. Cheers. Okay, definitely getting shortbread cookie flavor. Has a slight chewiness that you would get out of the caramel of the Caramel Delights. Not really getting much in the way of coconut. Like I get that little bit of grit in my teeth afterwards, like there is coconut shavings in this, but they're not prominent during the initial chew that they are if you're actually eating a Caramel Delight. Honestly, now I'm thinking about it and I've had a chance to let it linger a little bit, I would almost say that burnt smell that I was getting or slightly burnt smell could actually be that they tried to toast the coconut shavings and slightly overdid it and burned the coconut shavings because that's more the flavor I'm getting as the aftertaste than anything else. So yeah, it's like they tried to toast the coconut shavings, burned them a little bit, and somehow that slightly burnt or overdone smell seeped its way into the shortbread cookie. So does it taste like a Caramel Delight or a Samoa, whatever you want to call it? For the most part, yes. It's not super far off, but I feel like they could have done slightly better with getting it there. I'm not sure exactly how I would fix it, but I feel like there is a slight improvement that could have been made. All right, so I'm gonna go pop this other one in the toaster, and I will be right back to try the hot version. All right, and we are back, and we have our toasted Caramel Delight. Not really a lot to say. Let's just jump right in. We'll give the smell test and see if it smells any more like a Caramel Delight than it did when it was cold. Here we go. No, now I'm just kind of getting an odd, almost burnt caramel kind of smell, but it's not real strong. I think that's just the hot frosting on the top of it, which is giving me that sense because there's the caramel drizzle on top of the frosting. So I think that just heated up and that's what's giving me that smell. But for the most part now, it just smells like hot Pop-Tart frosting. All right, so smell test out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a bite and see if we like it better hot or cold. Cheers. Okay, honestly, it's not bad when it's warm. However, it does just kind of taste like any other toasted Pop-Tart. You got the heated filling inside, which I'm mostly just getting like a caramel or a brown sugar type of flavor, the toasted crust flavor, and the warm frosting on top. So do I like it better hot or cold? If I want it to taste like Caramel Delights, which is what it's supposed to be, go cold. If you want just a nice Pop-Tart that doesn't have too much going on, but still has a little bit of a kick of flavor, then I would recommend going with the hot. All right, so now that that's done, we're gonna set this one aside along with our box because it is time for our other product of the day, Pop-Tart Girl Scout Cookies Thin Mints. So let's go ahead and pop these open, pull out the back, set our box aside. We'll open up our foil pack here, and we will retrieve our frosted Thin Mint. Again, not sure how well it translates onto the screen since I no longer have an overhead camera. We do have the chocolate pastry shell and what looks like just a regular chocolate frosting on top as well. Let's jump right into the smell test and see if it smells like a Thin Mint. Here we go. So I'm mostly just getting a cocoa kind of smell. That's probably from the pastry shell. Not getting much in the way of mint. There is like a very, very, very slight scent of mint, but it's not really prominent. I'm more getting, like I said, the cocoa smell. And as far as the frosting, I'm getting a little bit of just a regular chocolate kind of smell like you would get if you were only smelling the chocolate coating on the outside of the actual cookie, but not smelling the actual mint portion of the cookie, if that makes sense. All right, so let's go ahead and take a bite and see if it tastes like a Thin Mint. Cheers. Okay, so it took a minute to get there. Had to chew it up quite a bit. But once everything was kind of mixed and incorporated in my mouth, I did get the mint flavor. Does it taste like a Thin Mint? Vaguely. Honestly, the cocoa smell and taste of the chocolate pastry shell is kind of overriding any other flavors that I would have gotten out of it. Like the mint comes through way at the end, but it doesn't taste like what I remember Thin Mint tasting like. I do get a little bit of a minty chocolate kind of flavor in there, but that cocoa powder kind of taste kind of mutes it quite a bit. So I don't think I need to go back for a second bite on that one. So we're just going to pause here. We'll go pop the other one in the toaster real quick, and we will be right back in a moment with the hot version of Pop-Tarts Girl Scout Cookies Thin Mint. And we're back, and we have our toasted Thin Mint Pop-Tart now. Let's go ahead and give it another smell test and see if it smells more like a Thin Mint now that it's heated. Here we go. No, still getting that cocoa powder kind of smell, except now it's not like raw cocoa powder, it's more baked cocoa powder. Like if you had added cocoa powder into like a cake mix or muffin mix, and at first you're smelling the rawness of it, and then as you actually cook it, that intense smell kind of bakes off. So that's kind of what I'm getting now, is the scent is still there, but it's baked off quite a bit. All right, so let's take a bite and see if it tastes any more like a Thin Mint. Cheers. Oh, definitely. So I took the bite of it, immediately getting that Thin Mint flavor, the mint and the chocolate. Now that the shell is toasted, it's got a little bit more of a crunch and a snap to it, which is a lot more texturally like what you would get if you're eating the actual cookie. You get that crunch of the cookie. I wasn't getting that out of the cold version. Not getting much in the way of that cocoa flavor at all. Like it's still there, but now that it's heated up, the mint is a lot more prominent than it was in the cold version. And immediately kind of takes over and wipes out any lingering of that cocoa powder flavor. So yeah, I definitely like that one a lot better toasted. So there you have it. That's my review of Pop-Tarts Girl Scout Cookies, Frosted Coconut Caramel, and Frosted Thin Mints. As far as the coconut caramels, caramel delights, Samoas, whatever you want to call them, cold version tastes more like the cookie than the toasted version does. The Thin Mints reverse that. The toasted version tastes a lot more like a Thin Mint than the cold version. Which one do I like better? I'm still going to go with the Thin Mints. Thin Mints are still my favorite, especially when it's toasted. Definitely tastes like a Thin Mint. I do enjoy the caramel delights. They still taste like the cookie. I'll still be able to eat them. But between the two, caramel delights my second choice. Thin Mint's still my first. So that's going to be it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are in the description. Ring the bell. Make sure you get notifications every time I post new content. And until next time, cheers.